Hey, I have a special story to tell you for a special reason, and you will find out at the end. But first, tech team, go ahead and roll it when you're ready.
Hey, my name is Dan.
And hey, my name is also Dan.
And we are going to tell you a story.
Wait a minute, it means I'm telling a story with recording. How's this gonna work? Oh man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Then that's all that counts.
Well, not really, because that means I gotta do all the acting up here and the talking with no help. I kinda need some help up here on the stage.
Well, I can't do that. I'm a recording.
Okay, then we'll trade it. You do all the talking, I'll do all the acting. I won't say another word. How's that? Good.
Well, fine. I mean, you didn't have to do all that. Let's begin. Today, our story is about two heroes from the Bible named Paul and Silas. Paul and Silas traveled all over the country telling people the story of Jesus. You gotta walk, man. They didn't have cars back then. Now, when people heard them, they would respond in different ways. Sometimes they'd listen to what they had to say. They would get on their knees and turn away from their sin. But other times, they would get really mad. No, I said really mad. They would grab Paul and Silas, beat them up, and kick them out of town. Even if this happened, Paul and Silas would pick themselves back up, brush themselves off, and head to another town. One day, Paul and Silas decided to head to a place called Macedonia. Macedonia was a pretty spooky city. It was full of thieves, pickpockets, lowlives, the worst kind of people around. I'm pretty sure Darth Vader was not in Macedonia. I'm talking about real people. Among these people lived a lady. Well, this lady was actually pretty wicked. She worked for a group of men who were very corrupt. She had dirty clothes, long shaggy hair, and she smelled horrible. That is disgusting. When Paul and Silas arrived in Macedonia, there were some folks there who greeted them with open arms. These people were excited to listen to Paul and Silas. But one day, as they were listening to the story of Jesus, that crazy, wicked lady showed back up. In the middle of the story, this lady began to make a spectacle of herself. She was like yelling and calling a lot of attention to herself. Paul and Silas looked closely and realized this lady was not just weird, she actually had an evil spirit. Finally, Paul had enough. He turned to that lady. Wait a minute. That's not part of the story. Pick her back up. Okay, Paul turned to that lady. That's not it either. Pick her back up. Now this time, don't do anything to the lady. Okay? Leave her alone. Paul turned to that lady and commanded the evil spirit in her to come out. He just said, "Out in the name of Jesus." It was gone, just like that. Now this was pretty incredible, But the guys that the lady worked for were terribly angry. They used to make a lot of money off of this lady. But not anymore. Furious, they went after Paul and Silas. They tied them up. They threw them in the market square. All the town people gathered around and started beating them. Please put away the guns. Dan, please put away the guns. This was before guns were invented. Are those lightsabers? Because they didn't have those either. They had sticks. The town people beat Paul and Silas for what seemed like an eternity until they were like black and blue all over. Then they grabbed them, dragged them down the steps into a dark, smelly dungeon. They chained up their hands and feet in giant handcuffs that wouldn't let them move. They slammed the jail cell door shut. And there lay Paul and Silas, chains around their legs and hands, barely able to breathe, and in the smelliest dungeon you've ever seen. There were little drippings of water coming down on them. There were mice scampering and running across the floor. But then they did something that really no one expected them to do. They began to praise and thank God. Even though they were hurting and chained up, they began to sing. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. The walls began to move. The cell bars began to rattle. As Paul and Silas sang to God, an earthquake began to move the very foundation they were standing on. Suddenly, the jail cell door